Hello and welcome to another Ease Live tutorial. In this video, we are going to cover one of the core concepts of Ease Live, namely events. We are going to look at what they are, we are going to define one, and we are going to show you how they control your graphics and how you can use them to feed data, text, images, what have you, into your designs. So let's just go ahead, just to have something to work with. Let's just imagine we have some text. Let's pin that to the bottom left. We'll keep this very simple, but just so we have something to actually look at here. There we go. We have some text. We have a scene. It contains some text. Once we preview it, there it is. Let's go ahead and add a quick animation to it, just so it's a little bit more obvious that things are working. I'm just going to do the same thing I did in a previous video. We're just going to animate it in and out from the bottom. There we go. All right, so now let's go and open up Cockpit. I already have it open here. Let's go ahead and refresh it. Cockpit being our production tool. Here you go. And in case you're wondering the way to open Cockpit, I already had it open, but you can also hit this produce button here. That lets you pick a program to open and start producing testing. So here we go. We have our first program, and you'll notice that our text is here. There's not much else going on here. We don't have any way to control it yet. So what we want is to be able to take it on and off air, and we want to be able to type in some text for the end user to see, or the viewer to see. So this is where events come in. You can think of events as the strings that tie the production panel to your graphics. So events are a type of data source. We go into the data tab here, we click this little plus icon, and here we go. We are creating an event. Let's call it my first event, keeping with the theme. So we want this event to control our scene that we made earlier, and we are also going to want the producer to be able to type in some text. So let's go ahead and add some text here. You'll notice that this looks very similar to working with layers when you're in a scene. Visually, it is the same, but what you're defining here, rather than anything visual, is the data structure of your event. We will get into that in a bit more detail in another video, but for now, all we've done is we've told Ease Live that we want some text, and let's call that my text. Why not? There we go. We want that to come along when this event comes in. We want it to include some text, and we want it to be required. There we go. And if we now go ahead and refresh, you'll see that it has been successfully added, but it doesn't do anything. We do have our input field here. We can type some text in here, but if we hit air now, I think we made it required. So let's type in hello, but you'll notice nothing happens, because we haven't told Ease Live how this event is supposed to control our graphics. So let's go ahead and do that next. We'll go to our scenes. We'll select our scene here. And in the Triggers tab, under Show and Hide, we can pick the event that we want to control this scene. So this is a very, very common pattern in Ease Live, that you have an event that controls a scene. And if we now go and refresh, that is all there is to controlling it. We can now press stop here. That takes it off air. There you go. It works. But you'll notice that the text isn't showing up yet. It just says text. So let's do that next as well, just to show you what data overrides are as well. So what I mean by data overrides is anytime you select almost any kind of layer here, whether it's a scene or a text layer or a normal layer, all your fields here will have this little icon next to them when you hover your mouse over them. This is the data override icon. So what that means is that the value of this field, whether it's text or a number, can be overridden by all kinds of data sources. In our case, we have created one data source so far called my first event, and we would like the text from that event to be used for this text layer. You'll notice generally when you're working with text layers, you can just double click them and edit the text that way. But because we want data override, we use this field here. And now if we go back to Cockpit one more time, refresh, There we go. It says hello. Take that off there. Try something else. Hola. Here now. There you go. So that is the very basics of what events are, how you use them to control your graphics. The typical workflow in Studio is essentially going to be this. When you're working with events, you create a scene normally, you configure an event for it, you tell Ease Live what data the event should contain, you connect it to your scene in the triggers tab there, and then if needed, you use the data from the event to feed into your graphics in different ways. And in future videos, we'll look at more advanced use cases, but that is essentially how events work.